The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, innocuous enough on the surface. It was from a name I didn't recognize: Bryce, Holloway at Tech Solutions, com. I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam, but something made me pause. My wife, Meredith, worked at Tech Solutions as a marketing manager. Bryce Holloway wasn't a name she'd mentioned, but that wasn't unusual. She often had dealings with people I wouldn't know. I'm Garen, and until that moment I thought I had a pretty good life. I'm an artist, a painter actually, and Meredith's steady income allowed me the freedom to pursue my passion. We lived in Seattle in a cozy little house overlooking Puget Sound. We'd been married for 15 years, met in college, and built what I thought was a solid, loving relationship. We had our ups and downs, of course, but nothing that ever felt insurmountable. Curiosity, or perhaps a creeping sense of unease, got the better of me. Meredith had left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I told myself I was just making sure she hadn't left any sensitive information exposed. I opened the email. It read, "Meredith, dinner last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. Let's find a way to make this happen again soon, Bryce." The blood drained from my face. My heart hammered against my ribs. This had to be a mistake. Meredith wouldn't do this. Not to me. Not to us. I scrolled through the email chain. There were dozens of messages, each one more intimate than the last. They talked about stolen moments in the office, secret rendezvous after work, and a longing that made my stomach churn. "I can't believe I'm doing this," one of Meredith's emails read. "But I can't help myself. Being with you makes me feel alive again, alive again." What was I then? Dead? A ghost in her life? I slammed the laptop shut, my hands shaking. I needed to confront her, but I didn't want to do it in a blind rage. I needed to be calm, to gather my thoughts. I decided to wait until she got home from work. The hours crawled by. I paced the house, replaying the emails in my mind, each word a fresh stab wound. I tried to distract myself by painting, but my hands were too unsteady. Every brushstroke was a reminder of the betrayal that was unfolding before my eyes. When Meredith finally walked through the door, she looked tired but happy. "Hey, honey," she said, kissing me on the cheek. "How was your day?" "Fine," I managed to say, my voice tight. "How was yours?" "Busy," she said, shrugging off her coat. "We're working on a new campaign. It's been crazy." I watched her, studying her face for any sign of guilt, any hint of remorse. But she seemed perfectly normal, perfectly oblivious to the bomb that was about to explode. "Meredith," I said, taking a deep breath. "We need to talk." She frowned. "About what?" "About Bryce Holloway," I said, watching her reaction. Her eyes widened and a flicker of fear crossed her face. It was all the confirmation I needed. I don't know who you're talking about," she stammered, but the lie was weak, unconvincing. "Don't insult me, Meredith," I said, my voice rising. "I read your emails. I know about the affair." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Garen, I can explain," she said, her voice trembling. "Explain what?" I demanded. "Explain how you could betray me like this." After 15 years, she sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she sobbed. "It just happened." "That's not an excuse, Meredith," I said, my voice cold. "That's a cop-out." She looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen. "I know," she said. "I'm so sorry, Garen. I never wanted to hurt you." "But you did," I said, my voice breaking. "You shattered everything I thought we had." She launched into a long, rambling explanation about how she'd been feeling neglected, how she felt like we'd grown apart, how Bryce made her feel seen and appreciated. It was the same tired script I'd heard in countless movies and TV shows. It didn't make it any easier to hear. "So what now?" I asked when she finally finished. "What do you want to do?" "I want to fix this," she said, reaching for my hand. "I want to make things right. I'll quit my job, I'll go to therapy, I'll do whatever it takes." I pulled my hand away. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Meredith," I said. "I need time to think." I spent the next few days in a haze of anger and confusion. I barely slept, barely ate. I replayed every moment of our marriage in my mind, searching for clues I'd missed, signs that she was unhappy. I talked to our friend Darnell, a therapist, who listened patiently and offered advice, but nothing seemed to ease the pain. "You need to decide what you want," Darnell said. "Can you forgive her and move on, or is this a deal breaker?" I didn't know the answer. Part of me wanted to believe that we could work through this, that our love was strong enough to overcome this obstacle. But another part of me felt like the trust was irrevocably broken, that the foundation of our marriage had been shattered. I decided to do some digging into Bryce Holloway. I found his LinkedIn profile. He was a senior executive at Tech Solutions, married with 2 kids. I found his wife, Tegan, on Facebook. She seemed like a nice woman, completely oblivious to her husband's infidelity. I felt a surge of anger not just at Meredith and Bryce, but at the whole situation. How could they be so selfish, so reckless, so willing to destroy the lives of those around them? I decided I couldn't let this go. I couldn't just forgive and forget. I needed to do something. I contacted Tegan. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I didn't want to hurt her, but I knew she deserved to know the truth. "I'm so sorry to have to tell you this," I said when she answered the phone. "But your husband is having an affair with my wife." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "What?" she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. I told her everything about the emails, about Meredith's confession, about my own heartbreak. She listened in stunned silence, occasionally interjecting with a question or a gasp. "I can't believe this," she said when I finished. "Bryce would never do this." "I wish I didn't have to be the one to tell you," I said. "But I thought you deserved to know." "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling. "Thank you for telling me." The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Tegan confronted Bryce and he denied everything at first. But she showed him the emails and he had no choice but to confess. She kicked him out of the house and filed for divorce. Meredith quit her job at Tech Solutions. She said she wanted to focus on fixing our marriage, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was just trying to avoid the fallout from her affair. I told her I needed space. I moved into a small apartment downtown just to get away from the house, from the memories, from her. I focused on my art, pouring all my pain and anger into my paintings. I created a series of dark, abstract pieces that reflected the turmoil inside me. People seemed to connect with them. They sold well. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was doing something meaningful, something that wasn't tied to my relationship with Meredith. One evening, I got a call from Tegan. "I wanted to thank you," she said, "for telling me the truth. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through, but I'm glad I know. I'm moving on with my life." "I'm glad to hear that," I said. "I hope you find happiness." "I will," she said, "and I hope you do too." I spent the next few months working on myself, going to therapy, spending time with friends, and rediscovering my passions. I realized that I had been so focused on my marriage that I had neglected other aspects of my life. I needed to rebuild myself, to find my own identity outside of my relationship with Meredith. Eventually, Meredith and I started talking again. We met for coffee, for dinner, for long walks along the beach. We talked about everything, about our past, our present, and our future. She was genuinely remorseful. She understood the pain she had caused, and she was willing to do whatever it took to earn my forgiveness. But I realized that forgiveness wasn't enough. The trust was gone, and I didn't think it could ever be fully restored. "I don't think we can make this work, Meredith," I said, one evening as we were walking along the beach. "I'm sorry." Tears streamed down her face. "I understand," she said. "I'll always love you, Garen. I'll always love you too, Meredith," I said. But sometimes love isn't enough. We filed for divorce a few weeks later. It was amicable as a divorce can be. We divided our assets fairly and we both moved on with our lives. I never regretted telling Tegan about the affair. It was the right thing to do, even though it caused a lot of pain. Sometimes the truth is the most painful thing, but it's also the most liberating. I'm still healing. The scars of betrayal run deep, and I don't know if they'll ever fully fade. But I'm learning to live with them, to move forward, to find happiness again. And who knows, maybe someday I'll even find love again. But next time, I'll be sure to choose someone who values honesty and loyalty above all else. Sometimes, the greatest act of love is letting go.